Welcome to my lazy day garden. Today I thought I'd take you around to the back of my yard where I keep my native plants and wildflowers. And that way you can see what I have blooming right now. There's not too much because it is the fall. But this is a New England aster here alongside of my shed. I have a couple of them here. And I'll head to the back here. Oh, look. Whoops. It's gone. These are goldenrods. Let's see, we got butterflies and pollinators. Oh, wow. They're like going crazy over here. We have some, these are goldenrods too. They're just smaller, shorter. Look at that butterfly, it's beautiful. And though this isn't blooming, I'm going to show you this plant because it's my favorite. This is a Prairie Doc. The leaves on this are enormous. And it was thick and they feel like sandpaper. I just love this plant. One of the coolest things about it is it's got a stalk that comes up 7 feet in the air or more. And if I would have been out here 2 weeks ago, I could have gotten video of it with the flowers, yellow flowers on the end. I just love this plant. And it's not going anywhere. The roots go down so deep in the ground with this. They warned me, you put it somewhere, you're never going to get it out. And I said, that's fine. There used to be a maple tree here. And there was a lot of mulch and everything. I decided that's where I was going to put it. It's beautiful. Got some native grasses. Some wild bergamot in the back. Honeysuckle bush. Mine, I couldn't remember for a minute. It's not related to the honeysuckle. It just has flowers on it like a honeysuckle, but it's native to my area. This is St. John's wort. It got so big. And down here is a fragrant sumac. And between the two of these, they've taken over this bed over here. So I'm going to have to come in here and on a rescue mission because I know I have some plants back here that are being buried like this, and I don't recall what it's called. It's a bush that gets white flowers, and I'll have to look it up, but I need to get it out of here, get it out in some sunshine. Actually, all this may look like a bunch of weeds, but there's only a couple weeds in this. Everything else I planted. Here's a weed here. Well, weed, as I mean, I didn't plant it here. And I will, as soon as the mosquitoes die down and it gets a little cooler, leaves start to fall off everything, I'll go in here and get rid of things that shouldn't be here. This is left of the sunflowers. I got here a little late, but there's a couple that's still up there. I actually found these up at the park by my house, and I waited until winter, and I went back and took off a seed head and grew them here, and luckily they stayed in the bed. I was afraid they'd go into the neighbor's yard, but they didn't. This dead vine here is a vine that's been here since I was 4 years old. And a new neighbors moved in last year, and I guess they killed it off. Decided they didn't want it. It's basically on their property, but it comes over onto mine. I really liked it because the birds and animals could hide out there, but I couldn't even mow back here last year. So I might grab a few branches off this. They might come handy in my garden. But if I'm going to do it, I probably should do it here in the next couple of weeks, so they look like they've been taken a little bit from this. We're trying to take it down. Every year I'd have to come and cut this about 3/4 of the way down to stop it from going up the telephone pole, getting up to our electric and stuff. It's okay. I've got plenty of other places for the little animals to hide. This is my cedar. I got this for the migrating robins. Love to eat on these in the fall. I got 2 of them. And it'll act as a privacy fence eventually. They were 5 feet tall when I got them, so they're really growing. This is a hazelnut. It's only a couple years old. We got some more fragrant sumac over here, and we have the honeysuckle bush again. So it's some kind of flowers on it. They usually flower earlier. Here, let's see. Yeah, it's like they just got done flowering back here. Different light, they flower at different times. Back here, this one's a Ozark witch hazel. And really these, it just looks like a mess, but what it is a wildlife habitat. I'm glad it's filling in nicely, and it doesn't matter how it looks like to everybody else. The wildlife likes it, and that's what I put it here for. Get some echinacea, some purple coneflowers, what's left. I'll leave this up all winter so the birds can eat on the seed heads. They do love them. There's a winter berry back here. You can see all the red berries on it. The male is right there. I have another one over on this other side. These are little Joe pieweeds back here. This is another St. John's wort that doesn't really get much taller than this. And here's the other female winterberry. I don't know what this vine is. The reason I haven't taken it out is I'm afraid it's like a host plant for butterfly or moth, and until I find out what it is, I'm afraid to take it out. And it's almost in every bed. So if anybody knows, please let me know. And then over here we have another New England aster. I come along about June, so it's almost on the ground. I come along about June and I cut these back to about waist high because it'll get way over my head and end up on the ground in the wintertime. But one of my favorite things about this plant is I have one by my bedroom window, and I looked out one day and it was just covered with goldfinches eating from the seed heads. I never take the seed heads off until spring, because this is bird food. Most of my flowers that I have are bird food. Got some pollinators hanging out on it today. I did a rescue mission about a month ago and went under a bush because I wondered what happened to all my black-eyed Susans, and it wasn't this bush they were under, it was a different one. But I gave a lot away to my niece in the spring, and none of mine came up except this one. And I need to rescue it, get it out from under here. But I found 13 under another bush. So what I did was I planted them around my new beds I'm putting up. And they'll be ready to bloom next year. These are all black-eyed Susans. And there was a wildflower garden here in the center before I took it out to put in vegetables. The vegetables didn't work out, so I got a canopy of 2 oak trees that come together above me. And though that was enough to grow wildflowers, apparently was not enough sun, and not so much the sun as rain. Was having problems with rain getting down to it, the water. And I made the mistake of planting tall things in front of this area too. That didn't help any. But I'm turning all this into a wildflower garden, back what it was before. And it'll be nice. I love my wildflowers. But there's a couple that popped up despite me taking them out. And this here is a milkweed. It's a purple milkweed. And I've just left it here all summer. I haven't moved it. But I'm going to have to move my milkweed, and I'm going to have to put it somewhere. This is a butterfly milkweed. And like I said, I just kind of put my beds up around it until I can find a place to move these two. I got another black-eyed Susan coming up here. I'll move it out. And these are spider milkweeds. And some of them I moved in earlier in the year out into a sunny part of the yard and they didn't make it. But I got enough of them around this area here, around this bush, that I might just keep them around this bush. They seem to like it. So I have one more plant that isn't really in bloom, but the berries are out in it. I love this. This is an American Beauty berry. And normally these are supposed to be really big, but this one hasn't gotten much higher than my knees. So I think I'll put a fence around it this winter and kind of give it a chance to get a little bit bigger. The rabbits eat on it, which I don't blame them. They get hungry. But they also, they die out too. It's Missouri in the wintertime, and they generally die out. And they come back, and they should be getting bigger, but I don't think it is because the rabbits eat down the main branches so much. So at one time, I did have a fence around it, and I took it off. But I think I'm going to have to fence it up again this year, just so it gets big enough. I have to do that so they can get big enough the rabbits can't hurt them. And here is a Joe Pye weed. It popped up here. I need to take that out. Here's the big one, the mother. And if I don't take this baby out, it's going to be 6 feet tall next year. So, some work I have to do around the yard today on my day off. That's all I got in bloom, really, right now. I don't have a lot in the fall, late fall like this. But I do have a lot in the spring and summer. So I have someone calling me up here, want me to come back. I'm coming, boy. This is my buddy, my gardening buddy, Sam. Hey, Sam. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back soon.